Good afternoon, everybody. Today's story is called My Brother Loves to Get into Trouble. My brother Brian is a very active young man. He is in standard 6 in high school this year, and I am in the lower classes. He loves people and he loves playing tricks on others. He is always getting into trouble. My mum and dad has to always remind him that he needs to be careful. It is a very good idea that you love people, they said to Brian. But some people do not take lightly to all your tricks, they said. Oh, I don't mean any harm, said Brian. Yes, we know that. But if it's going to get you into trouble, then you have to be careful. Oh, okay. Thank you, Brian says. At school, he would untie the girls' ribbons on their hair, or he would hide their books in the classroom. They would be looking all over the place, and almost in tears, they would go to the teacher, and she would have to intervene. Because when he'd done something wrong, it's hard for him to have a straight face. He would giggle and pretend it was not him. While queuing up outside the classroom to go in, he would pull the collar of the person in front of him and then look all over the place like it wasn't him. Our school trip, we loved to go on school trips. However, I think Brian had the best time. He would hide the bags of different children on the bus, and they would look for them when they need to get off nearer the time. But Brian was saying nothing about it until the very, very last minute. For Brian, it was fun to play tricks on others. At swimming lessons, he was a very, very fast and good swimmer. He would swim right under the water, and as he passed children, he would pinch them as they went by. And all you heard was, "Oh, Brian, stop it! Stop it, Brian!" He was always being punished for his crimes, but that did not deter Brian from continuing to play tricks. One day, it became really serious. The headmaster found something out, and immediately, because Brian is always the one at the middle of any trouble, he would have been the one they all looked to. So, Brian, please tell your parents that tomorrow morning they have to come into the office. We need to talk to them. Oh dear, said Brian, what did I do now? When he got home and he told his dad that he needs for him to take him to school tomorrow morning, Dad was less than happy. He was livid. He said to Brian, "Now what happened?" Brian said, "I don't know. We'll have to go to school to find out." And so the only nice thing about Brian, Dad knew and Mum, was that when he did things, he owned up to them. He didn't let others take the blame for it. And so once in the headmaster's office, the headmaster said to Brian's dad, there's a serious problem. And we think that Brian might be at the head of things because he's always playing tricks. Brian, did you spray paint the new car of one of the teachers? Oh, no, said Brian. That I did not do. Are you sure? Asked the headmaster. Yes, I am sure. So Dad said to Brian, did you do that? And Brian said, no, Dad, I didn't. So the headmaster said, well, who did then? He says, well, I don't snitch on my friends. So the headmaster said, okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes to think about this because the consequences are very, very severe. Firstly, you will be suspended from school. Your parents will have to pay for the damages on that new car. And if it goes too far, you would have to go to court in order to fight this case. When Dad heard those, he thought, oh my word. So Dad said, Brian, once more, did you do that? And so Brian said, no. Then who did? Said the headmaster. So Brian gave all the names of the boys that he thought would be part of that foolish and very dangerous trick. So he gave him a list, and then Brian was able to leave school that evening with his dad. So the next morning, the principal called in all the boys on the list, one by one, without Brian being there. And he asked them one after the other, who spray painted the teacher's car? Not me, said this one. Not me, said the other. They all did not own up to being guilty. Well, said the headmaster, this is what is going to happen. I'm going to have to phone all your parents right now and ask them all to come in. And they're going to be less than happy because they're going to have to leave their jobs. They're going to lose a day's pay. You can be suspended or even expelled from school, and your parents will have to pay the damages for repairing the car. As they were leaving, one little boy came back and he said, I did, in a very quiet voice. Okay, said the principal. We're going to have to look into this then. I'm going to have to call in your parents so that you can say in front of them, and I will tell them all the things that you're going to have to do. So very reluctantly, this young boy, sad, full of tears, said, okay. When the parents came in, the principal said to them, this is what your son has done. So we have some choices here. It's a very serious crime. You're going to have to, firstly, pay for the damages. It's a new car. Secondly, it's other people's property. You do not touch it. And spray painting a car that's not yours, that's really serious. So those are things that your parents are going to have to see to. And if it gets out of hand, we might have to take it further. This little boy's voice was really, really broken, and he was sad. So he said, well, I'm giving you to the end of a school day. You come back and you tell me all that you need to tell me. The boy was suspended. His parents had to pay for the cost to sort out the damages. My dad spoke so sternly to Brian that day about his joking that goes too far. Brian understood for the first time that some jokes are not tolerated well. So he said, Dad, from today, I will definitely try and be better. Brian is an awesome brother, you know. He loves people. He loves to play tricks, but sometimes it just goes too far. So I love him. My parents had to enroll him in many, many sporting activities so that he would be busy all the time and keep out of trouble. Hope you enjoyed the story.